You know, we are in Texas, sir, and you and the governor and lieutenant governor spoke very eloquently about the need to protect the schools. Boy, this is a prime example of why we need to protect schools and really why two good guys with guns limits death. It wasn't a complete failure as the left wants to make it out to be.
No, there's no doubt. If the person you were talking about had not been there, I have no doubt that this kid would have had more time, and he would have killed more kids and potentially other teachers. So there's no doubt that we limited the amount of people that were killed. And even if you look at Sutherland Springs, what happened there, you didn't have anybody in the church that was armed, but you had to have somebody come in off the streets that shot the guy, the killer. And even there, limited the number of people that would have been killed.
Yeah. What do you take away from this as one of the leaders of this state? Texas has already been on the forefront of trying to offer up programs for school districts and allowing them to send faculty through training. What's the takeaway, and what can you folks do in Austin to make sure this doesn't happen again?
You know, the reality is we know it's going to happen again. It's just a matter of, are we going to be ready? And having more regulations, you know, that you so often hear people immediately go to, isn't going to solve the problem. That's what's frustrating. Is the reality is, if we're talking about more regulations, somebody that is willing to kill people is not going to follow another regulation. And so I think we need to speed the process up of training teachers or getting more law enforcement in schools. Whatever the legislature decides, one of those two things needs to happen, and it needs to happen quickly. And we need to continue to make progress, because this unfortunately is a reality.
You know, I'm no longer surprised, General, that the left will come out and start to politicize this right away. It wasn't minutes after this shooting that the calls for more gun control started.
No, you're absolutely right. And what's amazing is that it defies common sense to think that adding regulations is going to stop a kid like this that's willing to kill people. I've never understood the logic. And what I don't like about what they're doing is they're wasting time as we lose more kids.
You know, it seems as if they want to live in fantasy land where this will never happen. We know that evil exists. It's existed since the beginning of time. The question is, what do you do to protect yourself from it? As you said, you are never going to eliminate evil, violence, and people who break the law. You'll never eliminate it.
You know, it may be even worse than fantasy land. I'm sure some of them are living in fantasy land. Others may be just using this as a leverage point because they don't like the Second Amendment. They don't like, you know, people owning their own weapons and using this politically for their own advantage. I think there's probably some of that as well.